You're tuned in to Vocalo Radio, Chicago's urban alternative. I'm your morning host, Bekoe, and alongside me, I have a man that's pretty well known, loves beer, created his own brewery. He goes by the name of Drew Fox, owner, founder of 18th Street Brewery. How you doing?
Good. How are you, man?
I'm doing pretty good. I know you are a busy man, but I got to start things off by asking, Drew, how did you find yourself being involved with loving beer?
You know, at that time when I started brewing beer, which was in 2013, there weren't that many, African-American breweries at all. And in our state of Indiana, I'm the first African-American brewery owner in the state of Indiana's history. Just being able to share the love of beer with people from all walks of life really intrigued me. You know, my background is food and hospitality. You know, I've done that for 20 plus years and got tired of that, the day-to-day grind of really just working, 15 to 20 hours a day, things that I was not passionate about, and really wanted to do something that would give me the opportunity to do something different, but also get involved in the community that I was living in at the time, which was Gary, Indiana. Mm-hmm. Started the brewery in 2010 and opened the first brew pub in 2013, and been going strong ever since.
I remember when you first opened up the pub out in Gary. I actually performed there for the first year anniversary.
That's right.
I remember that. And now not only do you have a pub out in Gary, but you also have the distillery, the brewery out in Hammond as well. Amazing spot for those of you that may have not visited 18th Street Brewery out in Hammond, or in general, I would recommend you check it out. The food there is good. And I do want to ask you about these $1 burgers that was taken off the menu. Will they return?
You know, we're always trying to be fun and creative with our food menu. And it was really a way for us to give back during the pandemic. Our communities, whether they've been in Gary or whether they've been in Hammond and Indianapolis, kind of rallied around us to help us get through the pandemic by coming in, buying food and buying beer. So it was our way of giving back and saying thank you in so many ways, because they didn't have to come in and support us. There were many other breweries in our neighborhood that could have went and supported, but they showed to support us. Will it make a return? I'm not going to say yes or no, but I think we built up some demand when we were doing it. And it was a fun way to give back, and it was a tangible, meaningful way to give back as well.
And speaking of give back, you all are definitely deep within the community of Indiana. And I remember when the pandemic first hit and hand sanitizer became a big problem. And you all stepped up and started creating hand sanitizers for the first responders. Like, what was the thinking on that when you all started to really distribute those hand sanitizers and get it out there?
There was really not much in distribution, and my wife is an ER nurse, and we have family that are nurses, and we're close. We're down the street from a hospital, two major hospitals, and we couldn't produce spirits at the time, knowing that customers wouldn't be able to come in and buy spirits, and so really, putting our heads together and saying, what can we do to service the need? And so, we had reached out to farmers, the local manufacturer here, and they basically bring a lot of corn. We say, hey, who's willing to donate corn, and we'll make hand sanitizer and give it away. And so we gave away 95% of the product. Some of it we sold to obviously keep the lights on and, make sure that we're able to continue packaging, cocktails to go and able to take care of the limited staff that we had at the time. So it was important for us to do what we could. And, more importantly, it was important for us to be human and do our part as best we can in the community. And that was kind of our way of giving back.
I mean, not just you, but the 18th Street, you all definitely held up your end and helped out a lot of first responders during that time because, it was tough. It was really
Agreed.
tough.
It was tough. I mean, we had, Chicago PD, state police between Hammond, East Chicago. I think it was more than just a regional thing, but it was just, cities from all over the metropolitan Chicagoland area that we were able to help. And again, it's important to try to do the right thing and be human. And we were all in the same position. Not many people were working, and we saw just a major need of and trying to understand where the supply chain breakdown was. And so we just jumped in and again did what we could.
Now, 18th Street, the name in general, if I'm not mistaken, is a name out in Chicago.
It is. I lived in Pilsen for quite a bit, almost 2.5 years. And my goal was to open a bar in Pilsen, and that didn't pan out just due to different liquor laws and, trying to convince people to understand what I was trying to do at the time. And I have an infinite love for that neighborhood. Amazing food, amazing culture, and to see it thriving the way it has, and looking at how the community just loves their neighbors. And, it's a very special place to me. Just like Chicago is a very special place. I grew up on the west side of Chicago in Humboldt Park, and I lived in Gary for a decade. So, all these, Midwestern states and neighborhoods are near and dear to me. But, Pilsen is a very, very special place, and that community definitely should be proud of, what they continue to achieve and thrive and push and demand for in their neighborhood.
With you mentioning how 18th Street and just Pilsen in general is a special area, could we possibly see an 18th Street brewery in the neighborhood or in Chicago soon?
I get that question a lot. I think I've gotten that question, probably for the last decade. I've been running this company. I love Chicago. And again, that's my home. I live in Hyde Park, so it's always on the forefront of my mind. But we have such an amazing operation, and we do a lot of great things right here in Indiana, right on the border. I'm never going to say no, because that would be foolish to say never say never. If the right opportunity presents itself, and if the timing is right, and all of our projects we have on our plate now are done, and if it makes perfect sense, then we'll do it. But I don't anticipate that happening anytime soon.
Well, Team Vocalo, I tried. I tried to throw it in there. Look, hopefully things work out, and well, you all do have a location out in the city as well. But I do, speaking for myself, visiting 18th Street, I was actually there, I want to say maybe a week and a half ago. I always enjoy my time there. The environment, it's a comfortable environment. To see the community you all have built up, and you right by like the police station. I'm pretty sure police come by, get a brew, shouldn't be drinking and driving, but I'm pretty sure they come through as well. But the community there, it's amazing. And did you ever think that that specific location, Hammond, would be one of, I want to consider it like a perfect spot because you got the patio. I also saw the sour note distillery, like a little bit down the street, all in the same area. So like, how did you specifically find this location, and did you feel like that would be a superior location for you all as well?
2014, 2013, when we opened the brew pub in 2014, we just kind of took off. I think that was kind of the peak of the craft beer scene. And we grew extremely fast. I think, probably too fast at some point. But we didn't own that real estate at the time. And, our landlord at the time, really wanted to monetize our rent. I think our rent was being raised about 100%. at that time. And so we said it made perfect sense for us to look elsewhere within the community. And we looked deeply in Gary. We looked to see if we could find anything there so we could keep our production in Gary. There was nothing there. We looked at Dyer, East Chicago. And we had a few friends who lived in Hammond, and the mayor's chief of staff at the time was a big customer of ours that came to Gary and knew we were looking and said, hey, we should definitely look at Hammond. When we first looked at the building, it was in terrible shape. The first floor was floor to ceiling with furniture, garbage. It didn't have heat, didn't have running water. It had one electrical light that was working. And I thought to myself, this is going to be a disaster if we try to purchase this building, but it was, it's a building that's 37,000 square feet. And I knew that it would give us the opportunity to grow and expand in the building, over the life of the company if we needed to expand. Here we are, 6 years later, and the building is fully occupied. The building it's full to the brim between the brewery and the distillery. More importantly, it was close to Chicago. It was 22 miles away from Chicago. We're less than a half a mile from Cal City. Munster, Indiana is, back to the south of us. So we were positioned really well within, the region and the Chicagoland area. And we didn't really realize that until after our first year. And we saw, the same folks that visit us were going to Gary, we're coming closer to Hammond. So we really got lucky with this building. I don't think we really thought about it, to be honest. I think it was just the right place at the right time, and we just got lucky.
And you recently said too that you are the first African-American brewer to be in Indiana.
Yeah, the first African-American brewery owner in the state's history. And
there we go.
I'm also the first African-American distillery owner in the state of Indiana. And that's something that we never talk about, but doing the whole, the movement of, social injustice, and, we saw the African-American community and really, put up arms and say, hey, we need to support our brothers and sisters who are in small businesses. And we saw that movement. And it really gave us the opportunity to talk about what we do as, as an African-American owner and shed some highlight on American-owned breweries and owners in the country. I mean, there's 1%, an entire 5,000 breweries in the country that are owned by African-American men or women. That's 1%, and that's a small percentage.
Very small.
And on the distillery side, it's the same thing. It's about 3 to 4%. So it's important for people to know that, and they should know that history, especially in the state of Indiana, where predominantly, it's run. The brewing industry is predominantly, male, white, and it's been that way for a long time. So, we have a responsibility to talk about it, share our story with everyone else. But more importantly, I like to see more, African-American men and women, Latinos, Asians, Mexicans to be more involved in this industry. And we're seeing it, but not on a bigger scale that we see, the Caucasian demographic in the industry. So, part of my goal the next couple of years to really open our doors and offer internships, but, growth leadership for individuals who want to come and learn about the brewing industry and the distilling industry. Because if we don't open those doors now, we're never going to see a higher ratio of people of color wanting to be in this industry. And it's a tough business. It's not an easy business. But I think, it's a part of my role to make sure I do my part to educate folks.
You said it's a tough industry. Like, what are some of those trials and tribulations that you've overcome? I
think, as I said, we grew the business way too fast. And so when you grow the business, you hope everything follows. We didn't really grow our marketing team. We didn't really grow our HR department. We didn't really grow, a lot of things that would help a small business grow. And so, hindsight 2020, you look back on those things, we made a lot of mistakes. And those mistakes help, those mistakes are learning tools. So now we're kind of playing catch up with all those things. The growth it's there, but now we got to play catch up on, the other side of the business, and making sure we have those things in place in order for us to make sure we can manage the business well.
I also see you all support like arts and craft and music. You all put a lot of events together at 18th Street Brewery. You also do like a draw, and I forgot what it's called.
Drink and draw.
There we go, drink and draw.
Yeah.
And I also saw you all link up with an artist that I recently interviewed. Her name is Liz Flores.
Liz Flores is awesome.
Yeah, I saw you all linked up with her, and she did a couple of designs. And like, how was that for you, to continue to build with the artist side of the spectrum, with having the music events, and being able to bring the drink and draw?
Yeah, we haven't done drink and draw for a year. Just, obviously we got busy and that kind of fell by the wayside. It's something that we're thinking about introducing in 2020. But on the artist side, we've always had a big art scene following, from the small big artists to the big artists, to, Juan Kim, who's a very talented chef in Chicago, goes by Revise. He's done a lot of, murals for us at Gary. During the pandemic, I, like everyone else, I was watching the news and looking at how artists at the time, they couldn't go apply for PP money, because they're freelance. They couldn't go get unemployment because they're freelance artists. And so I said, we have some resources that let's reach out to local artists, whether they be in Chicago, New York, wherever, and say, hey, we'll pay for the art, we'll pay you for it, and we'll use, our marketing platform to help you shine as an artist, and vice versa. I mean, obviously we sell spirits, off of that as well, but we felt that was important. Another way for us to give back by helping the artists who, again, they were just as much affected as, any restaurant, any bar owner, with no help. They didn't really recently get it. They just recently started getting help from states and the federal government, earlier in this year and latter part of last year. So we said, let's do whatever we can. There's some amazing talented artists out there who either left the field to go work a 9-to-5 job because they weren't either making money by being an artist. And we don't want to see that go away. I think artists are a huge part of the communities that they're in. They're a huge part of the ecosystem of Chicago, or New York or Boston. And so, again, we would just really want to see how we can help and do our part. And we just started reaching out to artists to say, here's what we're trying to do. We want to help. We want to pay for the art, be able to help you pay rent or put food on the table for you. And so we started an artisan series with the distillery, and it was 3 artists then, and we probably have about another 75 artists on the books that we can work with. We're only slated to do this series for a year, but honestly, I think it's going to go on beyond a year because we have so many artists in the queue that we want to work with. And obviously, Liz Flores was one that we were super excited about. We're also super excited about all of them because these are local folks that we really want to do our part to help in any way we could.
I just say keep it up, because that within itself is building community. And that's what it's all about. And, how can people actually reach out to you, 18th Street Brewery, or just stay in touch with what's going on at the brewery when it comes to events, or come and get some good food, new beer releases? Because you all have a huge inventory of brews. So can you let people know how they can stay in tune?
Sure. You can follow us on Instagram, 18th Street Brewery or 18th Street Brew, or visit our website, 18thstreetbrewery.com or 18thstreetdistillery.com. support your local retailer, whether that be Benny's, Mariano's, Jewel. We're in most of those locations. Or support the small and pop mom locations. And come visit us. I mean, we also have a Gary location, which is in Gary, and we have our newest location, which is in Indianapolis, which is on the east side of town, not too far from downtown Indianapolis.
Wow, congrats on that too. I remember the last White Sox game I went to, I cracked open a can of Sex and Candy.
Yeah.
Is 18th Street still available at the White at Guaranteed Rate Field?
We are still available at Comiskey Park or US Cellular Field, as some people say.
I know, right?
So you can find us. I believe we're in the Craft Cave, and Sex and Candy is one of the core beers that we do have available there.
Lastly, what's your favorite beer for the audience? To
at least learn. Ask me that.
I had to. If somebody might want to buy you a beer one day, it might be me. You never know.
And truthfully, I drink very little beer now. I'm trying to get myself back in shape, so I drink a lot more wine and spirits. But normally when I'm in the pub, I usually drink anything that's light, like our Best Patio Pils. Like now we have our Oktoberfest on, or I'll drink that. But normally I'll drink Best Patio Pils. It's light, it's refreshing, it's low ABV, and it generally I can have one or two and still feel like I can get things accomplished when I go home after work.
I hear that. Look, I'm laughing because I'm getting my belly down as well. I drink a little bit too many brews, Drew.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you.
So Patio Pils, got you. That's something
Patio
I could.
Pils.
Got it. I appreciate you taking out time from your busy schedule. And yeah, again, thank you, Drew.
Thank you for having us on. Appreciate it.